Doc Beach here from Applied Ballistics, and I'm going to briefly go over the new 1.17 firmware for you guys. This firmware should go out today, so you should be able to utilize it and see it during SHOT Show. So this new firmware adds some new features, some that we will go over and some that we won't. One of the new features is a new mode called Easy Mode. That's going to be in a different video, so you can go take a look at that. Another new feature is you now have an indicator up here for the units that you're currently using for your firing solution. And let's do this real quick so you can see it on both sides, as long as there's enough room. Another thing that this new firmware has added for you is a different way that the environment works. It used to be that this would just say environment. Now it tells you the temperature and whether it's live. Live means it's currently functioning. If it says lock, that means that you've locked those readings. You can adjust them once you've locked them if you want to do firing solutions for other scenarios. If you make them live again, they'll revert back to what the sensors are reading and you can no longer adjust those. Another new feature is the multi-target feature. This allows you to input 10 different targets at any range that you would like and get data on those 10 targets. So here you can see we've set up 10 targets. Well, here's 4 and there's other pages, so we can scroll down through those. Fairly simple. And you have the range. It'll tell you the spin drift. It'll tell you the time of flight to hit those targets, remaining energy, remaining velocity. A smaller dot indicator such as this one tells you that it's transonic, and this larger dot here tells you that it's subsonic. It gives you trace, lead for moving targets, wind 1 and wind 2. Now to set these up is fairly simple. You can designate them ABC or 1, 2, 3, clear all the targets at the push of a button. For target inputs, you can capture the direction for all targets at once, or you can scroll down here and adjust the direction of fire independently. Range is set independently just by highlighting the target and tapping back and forth. And you can set the range, direction of fire, the inclination angle, and the target's speed individually for each of these. Also, this new firmware does allow you firing solutions now to 5,500 yards. The wind inputs are just like the other target information. I can capture wind for all of the targets at once, or I can go through and individually set the wind for each target, giving it its own direction and wind 1 and wind 2 speed. And that's the new multi-target function that'll be in this firmware that goes out today. The ballistics is still the same and still there, so we still have all the same ballistics data. Manage guns acts the same as well. There's not a lot of change there. However, there are some new features. For instance, we'll go into the muzzle velocity for this rifle. And you now have a muzzle velocity calibration guide to ensure that you calibrate muzzle velocity correctly. So we'll hit enter. And now what it's going to do is it's going to walk you through doing a muzzle velocity calibration for this rifle. So we would adjust our latitude correctly, hit enter, capture the environment, and it gives you a set of directions. It'll tell you to find a target between these ranges. So let's go ahead and reduce it down to a range that's lower than what they recommend, just for demonstration purposes. Okay, so we'll hit enter. We'll go continue. Now, since we were outside the range, we were lower than what it recommended. It actually warns us that it's going to cause inaccuracies in our firing solution. So the atmospherics, the wind, and the range are all very important when you perform this task. The capture the direction of fire, point it and go, tells you what to do. Wind, even aerodynamic jump, is going to affect a muzzle velocity calibration. So it walks you through performing that task. And the final thing that you're going to do is you're going to input the actual elevation to hit the target, and it's going to give you a new muzzle velocity. And then it's going to indicate whether that's faster or slower than your previous muzzle velocity. Here you can see it's actually faster. And we'll go up. And here you'll be able to see that it's actually slower. than what our previous one was, indicated by the negative sign. So that's the new muzzle velocity calibration guide, and the temperature table is still there as well. Something else that you're going to see in the new firmware is you're going to have new choices for your unit. So we have true MOA, shooter's MOA, we have the click, we now have centimeters and inches as choices for our output on our firing solution. Now for clicks, if I set it to clicks and I hit enter, then I hit enter again, I can set per mil, per true MOA, or per shooter's MOA. And then we tell it how many clicks per mil we would have for this rifle. So we'll go ahead and just quickly scroll back through here, and you can see most of it's the same. However, you do get some new features and some new methods for doing certain things inside the Kestrel. If you're worried about the new format for muzzle velocity calibration, this is going to be the most accurate way to do it. However, the old method is still there if you want to do it that way as well, giving you an indicator at the best distance to perform it, and then you would just follow the old procedure. And that's just an early look this morning at the new firmware that you guys should be receiving today for the Kestrel Elite. This will go on to current versions of the Kestrel Elite, so users will be able to use this here pretty soon.